And now live from the Hollywood capital of Midwest America, which is Milwaukee, Wisconsin, it's Ryan J.
Wands at the ready, Arrow.
What's going on, man? It's been a while.
I know. I'm just so excited. I mean, this is probably my favorite movie of the year, let's be honest. I'm so disappointed in all of the backlash and all the negativity, all the bad reviews, all the controversy with everyone, the story, the performances, the effects, the legacy, the implications for the future, what they could be if it continues, which probably won't. It's the most sophisticated Wizarding World movie ever made.
Wow. We're talking about Fantastic Beasts, right? Because I guess I'm like a normal person. I had no clue this movie was even coming out yet.
I know. There's been such random controversies swirling around the whole Wizarding World lately that Warner Brothers is kind of burying it. You know, it's Fantastic Beasts: The Secrets of Dumbledore. It's the third of 5 in the franchise, but they're probably going to end it with this one. They have not greenlit movies 4 and 5. Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them did relatively well. Fantastic Beasts: The Crimes of Grindelwald underperformed, and then there are all these problems with J.K. Rowling on Twitter and her anti-trans stance, and then with Ezra Miller having restraining order against him, and then with Johnny Depp, being let go for the libel case, and Mads Mikkelsen coming in, and then also people just kind of being over this story, not liking it as much as Harry Potter, and it's getting a lot of bad reviews. But I'm here to tell you, it's amazing. And this film, it hits its stride, Fantastic Beasts franchise. This is the film where it feels very Harry Potter-esque.
Really?
They got away from everything. It's a good mix between the actual beasts and all the creature work and the wizarding story and the secrets of Dumbledore. I mean, we're really getting the story. I don't know why it was called Fantastic Beasts as a franchise. It should have been like the legacy or the creation of Dumbledore or something like that. It's really Dumbledore's story, and it's so amazing, and we get so much great Hogwarts and magical artifacts that we're familiar with, and spells that we're familiar with, and iconic music themes that we're familiar with, and all the other things that just hit so hard on the cinematic screen when you feel them and you see them. And I couldn't loved it more. And the story is great. There's so much more layer to the complex characters and the implications of what it could mean, and it draws so distinctively to who these people are in the Harry Potter verse that we know. And there are new characters that I thought were really fun and cool, and I didn't miss the couple that weren't there, and I loved it. I'm shocked that it's getting really bad reviews. People are saying it's long and boring, that it doesn't mean anything, and all the rest of it. And I don't get that at all. And also knowing that if it doesn't do well, that they're going to end it here. Now, here's the thing. If they do end it here, it's okay. Like, the way this one ends is relatively satisfying. I mean, it's not over. It still has a cliffhanger. But it ends in a way where, like, if this is it for Fantastic Beasts, I could live with it. Thankfully, because it's more likely that they're not going to do any more movies.
That's sad. I mean, I was sitting here while you were explaining that going, well, man, I mean, Marvel's got new writers, new directors, new producers and stuff like that. Is this something that a whole new group of people without the original writer to continue this story forward?
Well, that's what they did with this one. I mean, J.K. Rowling, they all but took her off. I mean, they didn't mention her in anything. I mean, they've been like, normally it's like J.K. Rowling's whatever, and it wasn't there. It's at the end, and she wrote, I think, the first version of the screenplay, but then they brought in Steve Kloves, who was the script for all 8 Harry Potter films, and he doctored it up and made it great. And I mean, this is the first time Dumbledore, finally, I mean, the big secret is he's gay, right? And so it's not a spoiler alert. We all knew that before these movies were even announced, but it's the first time they make it official canon in the films, and that's really cool to see happen. And I'm glad that at least got in there before it all goes away. But it's just a really, really amazingly mature, dark, gorgeous adventure battle, building up of, so it was fantastic, pun intended. So I hope people will go out and enjoy it on the big screen, because I think if they get there, they will.
Well, I'm glad that you're comfortable with the fact that if it ends right now, because I'm that guy that really didn't want Sleepless in Seattle to end the way that it did. I did not want them to meet. And maybe this is something that, people like me, I mean, it's like, I don't want to know the full story. Just end it so so my imagination can grow and say, this, I know this would have happened.
Well, part of the reason I'm okay is that if it ends here is because this is a prequel to Harry Potter and we know what happens in Harry Potter.
Yeah.
This still has something, a satisfying ending. And even though the whole thing isn't over, we know how it's going to end because we know where Harry Potter begins. Mm-hmm. So in order for Harry Potter to begin where it does, and for things that happen in Harry Potter that do happen that we know of, this story ultimately has to go in one direction. And so it's nice. We know that. So whether or not I would love to see it, I'd love to see that ultimate climax. But if we don't see it, it's okay because I at least know what will happen in there. And this third film at least has a much better, more satisfying ending than the first two films did.
I love it. Okay, so what is Choose or Die? I mean, that seems to be like a big kind of a choice.
Yeah, seriously, it's a horror film on Netflix that has an 80s vibe. It wishes it was like Squid Game crossed with Stranger Things, but nowhere near that. It's about these kids that discover a 1980s video game where you have to choose or die, and the choices are very deadly. It's very gory. It's very gross. It's a slasher film. You've got Robert Englund, who was Freddy Krueger.
Freddy Krueger.
They have his voice in it a little bit, and then Asa Butterfield is there, but kind of underused, and it's so cheesy. There's so many technical problems with this movie and the script. Like there are shots missing. There are issues with the sound and sound mix at some points. There were shots that were needed for the story, like they're holding things, but you can't see what they're holding, and that's just because they didn't get the shot or whatever, or ran out of budget or time, didn't know they needed to film that or something. The editing is strange. And, it's about if you play this game and finish it, you could win a lot of money. That's where I feel like it's like Squid Game.
Right.
But once you start playing, you can't stop playing. And the choices are you choose left or right. And if you choose one or the other, someone else in the room is going to be tortured and killed. And so it's like it's not a good game. Like it's not fun to play, and it's growing. And it's ultimately really cheesy. And I feel like the premise was smart, but they just didn't make it well. So I just skip it. It's on Netflix, but skip it. It's lame.
I never became a gamer, and I think the reason why is because when I first got Space Invaders back in the 1980s, it took up like 6 or 7 hours of my day, and I thought, no, don't do this to yourself ever again. And I backed away from gaming.
Yeah, I hear you.
Yeah, it messed with my creative flow, and I know what that is. So
it can happen.
Anatomy of a Scandal. Is this Agatha Christie?
No, it's not. I'm so excited. It's based on a novel, but it's so cool. This is a new Netflix series that I saw months ago, and I've been dying to talk about it. So I'm really excited. It's created by David E. Kelley, and I think it's his first British legal drama based on a novel of the same name. And David E. Kelley did Ally McBeal, Boston Legal, The Practice. He's married to Michelle Pfeiffer. He did Big Little Lies, Nine Perfect Strangers, The Undoing. I mean, he is the greatest living TV creator, and I love everything he does. I love, in particular, his legal dramas, and this one is so good. I love that it's set in British. It's Sienna Miller and Michelle Dockery, Michelle from the Downton Abbey series.
Yes.
And she plays a lawyer, Sienna Miller plays a wife, and her husband's on trial, and there's a big scandal, and the drama is so high. It's 6 episodes that I binged so fast. Like, I was just, really amazing twists. So layered, great performances, great cliffhangers at the end of each episode, like such juicy drama, so brilliantly written and performed. It's outstanding. So stream Anatomy of a Scandal on Netflix.
So, 6 episodes, that to me that's more like a tease, because I'm really getting into these that go 12 and 13 for one season.
It's a miniseries, though. It's like basically they wanted to make a book, adapt a book, and instead of doing a 2-hour, they wanted to make it 6-hour. So they made it a 6-hour, 6 episodes.
I'm so glad that this generation has adopted these series, and the reason why is because I'm blessed with the opportunity to talk to these actors. They're employed. That's what I love about it.
Yes,
these series keep these actors employed.
Mm-hmm.
Roar sounds like an animated feature, is it?
No, it's a new anthology. I know, no, you're O for O today. No, Roar is TVMA. It's on Apple TV Plus. It's a new anthology series produced by Nicole Kidman.
Really?
And it's 8 dark feminist comedy stories. And it's hit or miss. I watched them all, and some of them are really good, and a couple of them are really bad. Surprisingly, the ones I didn't like, one of them that I didn't like was the one Nicole was in, which is like shocking because I love her and she was great in it, but I've never. Well, no, there've been other movies where I'm like, can't recommend it. but some of them are just so quirky and weird, and the effects are kind of bad. It's magical realism, so that's where it's a realistic story that includes surreal or fantasy elements. Like in one of them, this girl is one episode, which is an episode I actually liked. A girl is dating a duck. And while she's dating, the duck speaks, and it's like her boyfriend, and he's like this abusive boyfriend, and they have sex and everything else, and it's whatever. But it's like a real relationship, and it's just like real, and no one's calling out the fact like, wait a minute, who's dating a duck? But he's talking like he's a real jerk, like he's like a real guy. You know what I mean? It's like funny, but good. But I think it's a parallel of like basically it's a metaphor for what some women go through in experience and relationships, and so but that kind of thing, or so it's supposed to. And sometimes you get it, and sometimes you don't.
See, I love stories like that because, like we see, that it's a metaphor. Because as a writer, if I get into a dark moment, I won't write about the dark moment, but I'll go a different route and use metaphors and try to get into a positive state of mind.
Sure,
I love that kind of stuff.
Yeah, check it out. He's like, some of them I like, it's just hit or miss. So I'm saying, skip it, but like there's some that are worth streaming. So you just have to, kind of weed through it.
So when is your movie coming out?
I actually have to run right now, but I'm wrapping production on the documentary film this year, and then we're just posting, and so I'm hoping next year or shortly thereafter.
I love it.
But we are finishing.
I just want you to know I haven't forgotten. So.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate that.
All right, man, go get that makeup on. You've got some TV time happening.
Yes, thank you so much.
All right, be brilliant today.
You too. Bye-bye.